Shocking scenes at Villa Park last night, guys. I couldn't believe my eyes. We actually scored a penalty kick. Can you believe it? But no, seriously, a bit of a Frank Lampard transition there. We'll get into all the talking points of last night's action and where else to start than the protest, the demonstration, whatever you want to call it. I said a couple of days ago I was a bit apprehensive of whether to go or not. I was undecided. Me and my dad felt like we wanted to, but other family members were advising us not to. There was a lot blown up in the media from either side. There was going to be violence or disorder. We didn't know what to expect. But I just felt like I had to go. I didn't want to be told by a group of people that I can't go and support the team I've been going and supporting since I was 3-4 years old. It didn't feel right. When Villa are playing at home, I feel like I need to be there. I feel like I want to be there, and I didn't really want anything to keep me away. Completely understand why people did stay away. I was very close to staying away myself. I bought my tickets literally yesterday morning. On the day of the game, we decided to go, but I completely understand why people felt it was right to stay away, especially if you're going with older relatives or you are older or you've got children. Completely understandable why people would stay away. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what to see. But luckily, from everything we've seen in the media, it didn't look like anything went off too badly. I think there were 6 arrests or so, some for face coverings and other things I'm not quite sure of. I'm sure that will come out. I haven't seen what the police have posted regarding the arrests. But yeah, heading to the ground, obviously, like I say, I was a bit apprehensive walking over, but it was very quiet. I usually come in from Birmingham, but I went in with my dad this time, who lives on the other side of town, outside of town, and we went in together. I felt it was better to just go in together. And walking the way I walked in, which was, it wasn't until coming towards Tesco where there was anyone around, really. It felt very quiet. It didn't feel like a regular match day at all. Obviously, a lot of people did stay away, and you could see that around Villa Park by walking towards the stadium. There wasn't really many people about from what I saw. I was expecting to see a lot more. It wasn't until you hit the island where Tesco is, you saw a big police presence. There was a lot of coppers about. You could really see the difference in the amount of police that were there. But even walking up Whitton Road, towards the North Stand side of the stadium, there was next to nothing going on that side from what I saw. This was probably walking in about 20 past 7, half 7, around that, I believe, if I remember rightly. And there was next to nothing really going on. I was quite surprised. It looked like there was a couple of reporters there, a few people, standing around, but nothing major. It was only when I walked, obviously, across the stadium. I was seated in the Trinity Road stand last night. My season ticket is in the Doug Ellis, but I bought the tickets in the Trinity Road stand last night, which typically was where the protesters were all stood. So I did walk right past the line of fire, you could call it, where the police vans were, the protesters on the other side, and the Villa fans on one side. And to be honest, it was a little bit heated, but nothing really spilled over. A little bit. There were items being thrown over when I walked past. There was a couple of bottles come over from the protesters. I'm not saying that was all of them, or it might just have been a handful of people doing that. Not really sure why. The Villa fans were just stood singing Villa chants. From what I saw, I know other chants might have been sang. You might have seen different online, but all I saw was "You've only come to see the Villa," or just singing Villa songs. It was all pretty light-hearted, to be fair, and it seemed that some of them were probably losing their temper with that. I'm not sure what kind of reaction they're expecting. It's just Villa fans wanting to support their football team. I've seen some media outlets or pages on X labelling Villa fans far right for literally singing Villa chants at the Villa Stadium, where we go and support our team every week. Absolutely bonkers. But yeah, I didn't really hover around too much. I kind of headed straight in, and that was it really. Yacoub promised 300,000, didn't he? I mean, they'd have been lucky if they were scraping 300 there, really. There wasn't many at all. I'd say it was very underwhelming on their behalf in terms of the numbers. Not sure what they wanted to achieve from being there, but luckily nothing was affected. The game went ahead safely. Obviously, the Maccabi team had to get there 5 hours before kick-off. They came in just a non-branded coach, didn't they, to sneak them in. I saw people saying that they were going in a Villa coach. Again, that's so inappropriate to put on social media, because people might target the Villa coach then when it's actually the Villa team that's on there. It's not the Maccabi team. So a lot of rubbish from all sorts of people coming out online yesterday in the build up, and a lot of people just doing it for social media clicks, aren't they? And doing it for the wrong reasons and want a bit of drama really. And fortunately nothing from what I saw spilled over. So yeah, fortunately nothing too dramatic happened from what I seen. So I'm just happy everyone got there safely. All the Villa fans got there safely and got out of there safely. After the game, coming out of the game, most of them had cleared off. I was quite surprised. I was expecting to see a lot more. Well, not more, but I was expecting the same presence after the game. But I think they got bored. It wasn't a cold night, so they didn't have the excuse of getting cold and getting bored. But they must have got fed up and cleared off. There was a few left coming out at the end, but they were just stood there. To be fair, they weren't even saying anything at the end. So all good. Like I say, I'm really just pleased. The main priority for me and the main thing I was concerned about was the safety of the Aston Villa supporters, and that was it. And the Villa team, of course, and fortunately, like I say, at least the game went ahead safely. And we'll get on to the game now. Then we can finally just kind of move on from that now and talk about the football and what happened on the pitch. Obviously, it was a quiet Villa Park. That away end was empty, and there was. I haven't seen the extra attendance, but I'm guessing it couldn't have been many more than 25,000 in there. It was quiet. I thought the whole end tried its best to get going. There was some funny chants at the start, like I say, with you've only come to see the Villa and you've seen the Villa now F off home. I thought was quite comical. Some clever chants coming from the whole end, but on the main it was pretty quiet, wasn't it? And as expected, understandably, completely get why people stayed away. But in terms of the game itself, is there much to talk about? Probably not. It wasn't much of a spectacle, was it? It looked like both sides just wanted to get in there, get the game done and get out of there, especially Maccabi. Like I say, their gaffer said that they were in there 5 hours before with nothing to do, just sitting around. And to be honest, that carried on the pitch for them. They contributed next to nothing to the game. They were okay, moved the ball around okay at times. Did have a couple of chances. Martinez pulled off a couple of very important saves, particularly... the first one in the first half, the ball came across goal. It was a poor finish. He did direct it straight back at Martinez when he had the whole side of the goal to aim for. But nonetheless, Martinez got in there, he blocked it, and it was a good save. And he was back to his best last night. I thought he was brilliant. I think if you look at FOTMob and stuff like that, if you're into those sort of ratings, which sometimes I use, he was the highest rated player, and he was brilliant, and especially that save he pulled off in the second half, that was an even better save. He was really good, and clean sheet for him. I was surprised to not see Bizot. I really did think Bizot would come in. I thought he would play the lion's share of these Europa League ties, but it just doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Obviously, play against Feyenoord when Martinez picked up that injury in the warm-up, but it looks like Bizot will only play when Martinez is unavailable, and maybe the domestic cup competitions. It looks like Martinez is locked in for the Europa League, and it's a little bit surprising because it's not like he goes strongest team everywhere else. He does rest and rotate in the other positions, but the goalkeeper he's settled on, and it's fair enough. I do think Bizot was brilliant against Feyenoord and did deserve another opportunity, but it wasn't to be, and Martinez was brilliant last night, and hopefully that gives him a bit more confidence. Well, I don't know whether Emi Martinez needs reassuring or confidence. He's an absolute nutter, isn't he? So, but after his performance or crap pass against Liverpool on Saturday, probably it was just a crap pass. It wasn't that bad in general, but he probably needed a little bit more of a reassurance to just get himself back to his best again, and that will certainly help him for Sunday, which is going to be a tough game against Bournemouth. So I was really relieved to see that. There was a murmur of chance of the world's number one, so some Villa fans he's back on board with. For me, I've kind of moved on from all that stuff in the summer now. He's here, he's one of us. I can't forget how good he's been for us over the years, so we just have to get behind him for as long as he's here. And yeah, he was great last night. He repaid that faith, but other than that, Villa pretty much dominated the game, didn't we? It was a quiet first half. There's a few stoppages in there, wasn't there, with Maccabi players going down injured. And then on the stroke of half-time, we got that goal, didn't we? Just as at Anfield, we conceded a goal on the stroke of half-time. such an important time to score, or an important time to not concede a goal, and that really, there was no way back for me from Maccabi from there, and it was a fantastic finish from Ian Maatsen. It was a really, really good finish from such a tight angle on his left foot. It was a great finish. I don't know how he squeezed it in from there. Assist from Morgan Rogers, who I thought played well last night as well. He looks like he's getting back to his best slowly but surely after a good performance at Anfield for him as well. So looks like it's starting to tick for him, and hopefully again on Sunday, which is going to be a massive game, which we'll touch on, he can have an impact there. And yeah, going into the second half, like I say, Villa dominated, probably could have had another couple of goals. Maccabi had that one decent chance, but that was about it. And then we got the penalty. The penalty that was never a penalty. It was one of the softest penalties I've ever seen. I thought the officials were dreadful last night. Obviously, UEFA officials a lot of the time, they look dodgy. I mean, they're so poor. Obviously, they come from different nations. We know the referees in this country are terrible as well, but you do get some questionable decisions, and he just took ages to decide what he was doing a lot of the time. He looked like guesswork. I mean, from where I was sat, just on the corner flag on the Trinity Road, towards the next to the Holt end, the linesman just looked like he was guessing a lot of the time. And for that penalty, the linesman didn't give it. The referee was just stood there looking at the linesman. The linesman didn't know what to give, and then he just slowly put his flag up for a goal kick. And then the ref put his whistle to his mouth and gave a penalty. So it's like he waited for the linesman to make his mind up and then went against him anyway. So it was just bizarre, absolutely bizarre. And I don't know how VAR didn't overturn it, because, like I say, it was just not a penalty in a million years. I mean, there's a little bit of a touch on Konsa's arm or shoulder, but I think he clipped his own heels as he went down. But listen, we'll take it. And he probably thought, I'll give Villa a penalty. It's an easy decision because they'll bloody miss it anyway. And no, it was Donyell Marlin that stepped up, took responsibility, and he stuck it in the back of the net. It was a good penalty, found that bottom corner. And yeah, it feels like a longer waited time to see Villa score a penalty without the likes of Marcus Rashford or someone like Anwar El Ghazi at Aston Villa. So yeah, it was a welcome sight seeing that hit the back of the net. And it was interesting because Donyell Marlin was on the pitch, wasn't he, against Go Ahead Eagles? So why he didn't take the penalty against them, I'm not sure, but he's your man, isn't he? If he's on the pitch, that's the other problem. It's all well and good being like, well, Villa have got a penalty taker now. Well, yeah, we've got a penalty taker, but unfortunately he's one that doesn't really get on the pitch very often. So that's frustrating. But hopefully more minutes for Donyell Marlin. And I thought he played pretty well last night. He was unlucky to not have a second goal, wasn't he? That really good save from the Maccabi goalkeeper. And he could have got himself another goal and would have been singing Marlin again, ole, ole. But fingers crossed Sunday. Will he get a start? Potentially. He might have just played himself into the 11. We'll have to see. But rest of the lineup, like I say, did mix and match, didn't he? Victor Lindelof came in at right back. Don't think he covered himself in glory. Looks a little bit uncomfortable there. Obviously, he's been out of action for a while. He's not playing much football, is he? So might take him a while to get up to speed. It's always going to be difficult when you're playing in dribs and drabs, but wasn't overly impressed with him. Konsa and Pau Torres obviously pretty much had to play, didn't they? Sorry, guys. With the injury to Tyrone Mings, Maatsen I thought was really good, got himself a goal. Good to see Bogard back in the starting 11 as well. I think he's been a little bit unfortunate to drop out over the last few weeks, hasn't he? He was playing really well up until Onana come back in and kind of claimed that spot off him. And Onana was pretty good last night. I thought of using his body more, using his range and his long limbs to win the ball. I thought we're seeing more of that, and he's starting to look a little bit more like the player that we hoped would sign for £50 million. So impressed with him. Rogers, like I say, I was really impressed with. Sancho, thought it was a bit quiet yesterday, actually. I don't recall seeing much from Sancho. Gesson, wasn't overly impressed with Gesson at all. I thought he was pretty poor. Actually, I don't recall him contributing much at all. So yeah, yet to see it with Gesson. I've got to be honest. We need to start seeing something from him soon, because he's getting a lot of opportunities, getting a lot of game time, but we're not really seeing the fruits of that signing yet, are we? So we'll just have to give him more time, and hopefully he gets used to the Premier League and gets better with time. And then Donyell Marlin was up front and got his goal in the end, and I was pleased for him from the penalty spot, probably even more importantly, to get that goal. But yeah, big the great thing to see yesterday, I think the most welcome sight was seeing Yuri Tillemans return. I wasn't really expecting him to stay on the bench yesterday, but when I saw him on the bench and in in the matchday squad. I was really, really pleased with that. So he got some minutes as well, so that's really important, and potentially he could have an appearance on Sunday. I can't see him starting against Bournemouth, but I'm sure he might have an impact if needed, and I think that's so important to have a player like that back. I mean, some people might have forgotten about how good Youri Tielemans is. I mean, he's a fantastic player and was our player of the season last year, our most important player, and he's going to be huge to unlocking defences, finding that pass. Yeah, it's such an important player to have back for Villa. I can't really get that across well enough how important he is for us. So very welcome sight to have him back. John McGinn came on. I think it was his 300th appearance or something. I know it was a landmark appearance for him. Obviously the fans love him. Just signed that new contract. Hopefully that will take him to 10 years at Aston Villa and he'll get his testimonial. So really pleased for him, and my favourite Villa player of all time. So yeah, it's always good to see John McGinn on the pitch, and he got obviously a fantastic reception after that new contract and that appearance record that he set last night. So yeah, really pleased with him. Kamara came on too. Buendia back as well. I was really pleased with that. Wasn't quite expecting to see him back yet, but he came on, and another welcome return, isn't it? Definitely going into this huge game on Sunday afternoon. Kamara came on as well. And the big one that I think the talking point probably is Harvey Elliott. Again, no minutes against a side like Maccabi Tel Aviv at home. If he's not going to play or get any sort of minutes there, to be honest, I think his Villa career is over before it started. I mean, we kind of laughed at the conspiracies about him making those 10... I know this is a different competition, but those 10 Premier League appearances. But I'm starting to think that will be the case. I think Villa don't want to trigger that 35 million clause. It could be a major turnaround. I know people have talked about, and I've said it myself, look at Tielemans. Could he take inspiration from the likes of Tielemans, who took a while to bleed in? It wasn't really till his second season where he was trusted by Unai Emery, but he was getting more minutes than this. Harvey Elliott is getting next to nothing. I just don't feel like he fancies him. I feel like this could all be over very soon, and there might be something in his contract in January where he returns, because I think Liverpool probably need him more than we do. He's just not getting used. I'd love to see him. I've always rated Harvey Elliott. I think he's a good player, and I would like to have seen him have an impact at Villa, but he's just not being given the opportunity for one reason or another. Unai Emery does not fancy him, and he's not getting a chance, is he? So I think it'd be better for all parties to part ways, and yeah, I think that will probably be the case. Whether that's in January or the end of the season, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm hoping for a miraculous turnaround in his fortunes. And like I say, it's not, you can't really say no, he's played badly when he's had the opportunity, because he just hasn't. When we first signed him, he had a couple of appearances, got our first goal of the season, which was as bad a goal as you'll ever see. It was a mistake from the Brentford goalkeeper, and I thought this might be our man, but a couple of substitute appearances were pulled off against half-time against Fulham, and that's it really, and he's never been seen again. So very, very strange signing. Is that why Monchi was sacked? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see how this one plays out, but it's not looking good for him at the minute, is it? Another man that come on was Ollie Watkins, and there's a talking point about him today. He has been left out of the England side, and look, I've backed Ollie Watkins a lot, but he doesn't deserve to be in the England team right now. I've got to be honest. I spoke a few weeks ago about him or Ivan Toney. That shouldn't be a question. For me, Ivan Toney should still be nowhere near the England squad, and he isn't until he plays in a proper league. But I've got to be honest, Ollie Watkins doesn't deserve to be in the England team at the minute. I'm sure he can get his spot back if he finds his form, but it's not there. Obviously, he came on last night. The game was pretty much over by that point, wasn't it? He didn't really have any opportunities. McGinn threaded a ball through that he couldn't quite latch onto, and that was it really. So there wasn't exactly floods of opportunity coming for him, but he just doesn't look with it at the minute. He just doesn't look confident. It's a shadow of the Ollie Watkins we saw a couple of years ago, 2 seasons ago, when we got in the Champions League positions, finished fourth. He was outstanding. He was unbelievable that season, but we're just not seeing that at all. And hopefully this isn't even more of a confidence wrecker for him. Will it be a kick up the arse he needs? Potentially. I don't really know his personality too well. We don't really see too much of Ollie Watkins in interviews and stuff. He seems quite, down to earth. He doesn't really say too much, so it's hard to say. He doesn't seem the type that would need a kick up the arse. He seems the type that probably feeling sorry for himself a little bit, and this might make those emotions hit harder. So fingers crossed it doesn't. He could really do with a goal on Sunday afternoon against Bournemouth, and that is a game I'm really looking forward to, which we'll touch on now, because like I say, just looking at the league table now, Bournemouth are sat in 5th position on 18 points, so 3 points above us. We're all the way down in 11th, still obviously clawing our way back up from our pitiful start to the season, really, not scoring in our first 4 games or winning our first 5. And we had that massive resurgence, winning 4 Premier League games in a row, and hopefully we can go on another run like that now. I think it's a kind of run coming up for Villa, isn't it? If we can get 3 points against Bournemouth on Sunday, which I'm backing us to do so, I'd back us to beat anyone at Villa Park, whether it's PSG or Bayern Munich. So bring on Bournemouth for sure. Obviously they nicked that point against us last season, didn't they? Right at the death. So hopefully we can get a little bit of payback for that. But if we were to get a win, that would take us over on points with them. We'd still be behind on goal difference, I think, unless we smash them by a few goals, dragging theirs down and bringing ours up. Potentially we could go above them. So yeah, a lot of chopping and changing with the league. Obviously it's 10 games in now. It is starting to take shape. It's still a little bit all over the place when you look at the likes of Newcastle down there. Obviously ourselves in 11th. I do feel like us and Newcastle will get into those top 7 or 8 positions, and you might see the likes of Sunderland and Bournemouth drop out over time. But just looking at Bournemouth's recent results, I think they played Man City last week. Yeah, they lost 3-1 to Man City last week. They beat Forest at home the week before. So they've had a great start to the season. It's got to be said, Bournemouth under Iraola have been a really good side, really strong side. You're always going to get a tough game. Beat them at their place at the back end of last season, which was a really hard-fought victory when we were chasing those Champions League positions down. And that was a really good victory for Villa, backs against the wall. But I'm expecting us to take the game to Bournemouth on Sunday, and hopefully get 3 points. Like I say, we've got the international break coming up after that, and it's a kind-ish run of fixtures coming up. With, like I say, after the international break, we've got Bournemouth. Bournemouth before the international break on Sunday, 2:00 kick-off there. Then we've got the break, then it's Leeds away, which, Ellen Road, you're always going to feel like you're going to have a tough afternoon there, but it's still a game I'd expect Aston Villa to go and win. Young Boys at home in the Europa League, that weird 5:45 kick-off, but with all the drama we had last night, I'm just relieved that won't be happening again. Wolves at home. What's going to be going on with Wolves? Will they have a new manager by then? You'd have thought so. Will they have actually got a win? To be honest, when a side hasn't won a game all season, if they're coming to play us, you always have that little worry of classic Villa in the back of your head. But we should have more than enough to wipe the floor with Wolverhampton Wanderers and put another nail in their coffin, which looks like they're going to be going down to the Championship. I don't think anyone's going to be saving them this season. And then it's Brighton heading into December. We won't look much too further ahead than that. But a run of fixtures coming up. Villa can get maximum points, and we need to go on another run now, claw our way up the table, and look at those Champions League spots. And I'm firmly backing us to do so. But I think that's pretty much everything covered. I might have missed something, but that's pretty much everything we'll go through for this one. So as always, guys, let me know what you thought of last night. Did you go to the game? What did you make of it all? Are you happy that that's just all over? What did you make of the performance? Villa now climbing the Europa League. I think we're up to 6th in the Europa League now, so should coast through the rest of the league phase, and hopefully we can make our way into those top spots and get those second legs at home. But if not, we're going to have to go to a difficult place and get results at some point. So you can't fear it. Bring it on. We'll take anyone on in this competition and back us to go all the way. So yeah, let me know your thoughts as always, guys, and we'll end it with a big up the Villa.